Chapter 401. Heavenly Sword Gate. Kill. Jin Wuji snorted coldly and cursed in his heart. Then, he slowly turned and did not bother to look at Xiao Chen. Bang. There was a loud sound. Xiao Chen kicked Jin Wuji from behind expressionlessly. Xiao Chen had used his full force in this kick, a total of 125,000 kilograms. A few dull cracking sounds rang out as a few of Jin Wuji's ribs broke. He vomited a mouthful of blood, falling to the ground. Jin Wuji had a pained expression as he used his hands to push himself off the ground and stand up. Bang. However, how could Xiao Chen give him the chance to stand up? He simply stepped heavily on Jin Wuji, forcing him back down. Pa. Pa. Jin Wuji's face came in contact with the ground again. This time, he hit the ground even harder than before. Jin Wuji's face swelled, as a result, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth ceaselessly. Clearly, his internal organs were significantly injured as well. He looked extremely miserable. Kai. Jin Wuji kept struggling on the ground, trying to free himself from Xiao Chen. However, Xiao Chen's foot used more than 100,000 kilograms of force. Xiao Chen's foot pressed down on him heavily. This made it such that he could not use any of his abilities, be it the state of metal, his cultivation as a peak inferior grade martial king, or the high-ranked martial techniques of the Heavenly Sword Gate. No matter how hard Jin Wuji struggled, he could not get up. Instead, as Xiao Chen put more pressure on him, he felt even more pain as he struggled harder. Xiao Chen looked at Jin Wuji, who squirmed on the ground. His face was empty as he said indifferently, "Didn't your master ever teach you not to expose your back after you make a threat?" "Ah, Xiao Chen. You have got guts. How dare you sneak attack me? I am the final disciple of the Heavenly Sword Gate's Vice Gate leader. Now that you have offended me, you are dead for sure. Not even Su Xiaoxiao can save you." As Jin Wuji lay on the ground, he kept crying out miserably. Strength filled his words. Jin Wuji's voice was very sharp and frantic. It attracted many gazes from the people in the harbor. Soon, many cultivators came over to watch the excitement. Strange, how come when the white-robed bladesman fights with Jin Wuji cannot retaliate at all? Indeed, Jin Wuji is, after all, one of the top 100 contenders of the previous five-nation youth competition. He should not be this weak. Even if he was sneak attacked, this should not be the result. However, Jin Wuji has the Heavenly Sword Gate shielding him. I do not believe the white-robed bladesman would dare do anything to him. After all, the Heavenly Sword Gate is one of the top sects in the Great Chu Katayan. There are many martial monarch experts in that sect. Any one of them could deal with him. Right. However, not many have the courage to trample on Jin Wuji so heavily. When the surrounding crowd saw Xiao Chen trampling on Jin Wuji so heavily, they were very excited. They all felt astonished as they discussed this matter. Jin Wuji was one of the top 100 contenders of the five-nation youth competition. Jin Wuji had just finished speaking, and Xiao Chen kicked the back of his head, stomping on it cruelly. Xiao Chen held back this time. Otherwise, he would have crushed Jin Wuji's head. Seeing his miserable state, Xiao Chen felt bored. Such a person can make it into the top 100 of the five-nation youth competition. This is disappointing. He does not even have a basic awareness of his surroundings. Yet, he dares to threaten someone stronger than him. Does he really think that, by using the name of the Heavenly Sword Gate, he can humiliate anyone he wants? When Xiao Chen saw the ships that would return to the continent slowly arriving and crowding the harbor, he shook his head. He lifted his foot and kicked Jin Wuji aside. Xiao Chen made it look so easy, like kicking aside a piece of trash with no concern at all. Xiao Chen saw that there were several ships arriving into the harbor. He said to Bai Lixi, "Let's go." Bai Lixi laughed and said, "Brat. I just discovered that your temper is quite a match to mine. This kind of arrogant brat needs to be stomped on a few times before he learns his place. However, do you plan on letting him off, just like that? Are you not afraid of him taking revenge on you in the future? Xiao Chen said calmly, it does not matter. Killing him or not is the same. Even if he lives, he'll never amount to much in the future anyway. There is no need to kill him and thoroughly offend the Heavenly Sword Gate. The Heavenly Sword Gate had martial sages as well as several martial monarchs. Although he would be offending the Heavenly Sword Gate regardless, killing Jin Wuji or not would result in different outcomes. Xiao Chen was very clear on the consequences. As long as he did now kill Jin Wuji, he could deal with the Heavenly Sword Gate's retaliation. However, if Jin Wuji continued to cause trouble, Xiao Chen would not mind killing him. The Clear Sky Medallion and the Heavenly Fiend Medallion could be sufficient to help him resolve this problem. Bai Lixi felt somewhat speechless as he said, "You little brat, I thought that you did not care about the Heavenly Sword Gate. Since that is the case, why did you still make a move?" Xiao Chen placed his right hand on his saber hilt as he said indifferently, "How often do you think Jin Wuji will show his back to me unguarded? Since he presented his back to me, if I did not kick it, I would let myself down." Bai Lixi was initially stunned before he laughed. "Ha ha ha, you are awesome. You have a trace of the same demeanor that I did when I was young. High-ranked sects. Screw them. No matter how many people shield them, just trample on them. Screw the saying, 10 years is not too late for a gentleman to take his revenge. Since there is a chance, just take it out violently on him. Otherwise, if you bury it in your heart, problems will occur someday." Hu Kai. Just as this moment, a cutting sound suddenly rang out behind them. A sharp killing chi flew at Xiao Chen. Dang! Xiao Chen had left his right hand on his saber hilt, keeping his guard up at all times. The moment he felt the killing chi, he spun around and drew his saber. In the time for a spark to fly, he intercepted the sword rushing at him. His two states intermingled on the saber, the state of thunder and state of massacre burst forth. Xiao Chen attacked with his full power. He did not hold back in the least. At first contact, he sent Jin Wuji's sword flying. Jin Wuji looked extremely miserable, his face swollen and his long hair messy. When he saw his sword knocked from his hands, he was mildly astonished. He could not help but vomit another mouthful of blood. Earlier, Xiao Chen caught Jin Wuji off guard and kicked him. Then, Xiao Chen proceeded to trample on him. His internal organs had already sustained injuries. He barely managed to launch this sword strike. Xiao Chen raised his lunar shadow saber and rested it on Jin Wuji's neck. He said indifferently, "Jin Wuji, do you really want to die that badly?" When Jin Wuji heard this, he laughed, "Trash. Do you even dare kill me? So what if you injured me severely? You have no sector power behind you. Even the bloody bladesman does not dare to kill me, much less you. If you dared to kill me, you would have done so long ago. In the end, you are still afraid of the Heavenly Sword Gate's revenge." A ruthless and tyrannical look flashed on Jin Wuji's face. He said coldly, "If it were not for Su Xiaoxiao, I would have killed you long ago. You would not have had the chance to act arrogantly before me. If you dare, then kill me and wait for the Heavenly Sword Gate to kill your entire clan. As of today, you have already completely offended me. If you kneel now and beg for mercy, I can spare you. Otherwise, no matter where you go, even to the end of the world, I will repay this humiliation 100 folds." Jin Wuji's expression turned sinister. He felt no fear as he looked at the saber Xiao Chen placed in his neck. He is seriously reckless, Xiao Chen thought to himself. However, when Xiao Chen thought about it, he felt there was something wrong. Logically, with my saber on his neck and feeling death so close, He should not be so confident, even with the heavenly sword gate backing him. Xiao Chen turned his head and looked at where Jin Wuji was looking at. He saw a white-clothed swordsman standing on the bow of a merchant ship returning to the continent. An indistinct smile appeared on the swordsman's face as he watched the three quietly. That person's aura was withdrawn, like there was a surging sword intent brewing within him, ready to burst forth. He held a treasured sword that had not been drawn yet. Jin Wuji smiled. This is my first senior brother. He is the final disciple of the Heavenly Sword Gate's gate leader. He has just returned from experiential training in the Boundless Sea. He is a martial king and is undefeatable. Don't think that you are invincible after one fortuitous encounter. It looks like this person is the source of Jin Wuji's confidence. No wonder he remained here for 3 months. He must have been waiting for this person. Xiao Chen said indifferently, interesting, he is much stronger than trash like you. However, no one can save you today. Die. Boom. Right as Xiao Chen was about to kill Jin Wuji, a treasured sword flew over from the merchant ship. Everywhere it passed, massive waves appeared. It looked very frightening. The sword chi on the sword did not scatter but concentrated at the tip. The air looked like pieces of paper, pierced through by this sword. Xiao Chen was mildly astonished. The sword contained sword intent. It was stronger than he had anticipated. Furthermore, it was extremely fast. It reached Mach 3 in an instant. If Xiao Chen had wanted to continue forcefully, he would have to receive a blow from that sword. Xiao Chen thought very fast, making a quick decision. He withdrew his saber and dodged this sword. Ha! Although Jin Wuji had spoken so easily and casually, he had circled the gates of hell earlier. His heart pounded rapidly, much faster than usual. He felt very frightened. He could not help but fall to his knees. Wang! 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 The sword quickly spun around in the air. Unexpectedly, it did not continue moving in the direction of its previous target. It turned and flew toward Xiao Chen. This is the Heavenly Sword Gate's Heavenly Gate Resistance Fencing. It is a martial technique that only the gate leader and the successor can learn. Ding Fengqiu has arrived. No wonder Jin Wuji became so courageous, making a sneak attack. So, first senior brother has arrived. The white-robed bladesman is in trouble now. Ding Fengqiu was one of the top 50 in last year's 5-nation youth competition. He is considered a top talent in the Great Jin Nation. After 1 year, his strength must have risen explosively. When the many cultivators saw the sword flying through the air, they quickly recognized the origin of this move and the identity of the person who executed it. Boom. 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 Xiao Chen did not plan to clash head-on with the sword. Doing that would allow the other party accomplish his goal. Hence, he took 3 steps back. The huge energy on the sword blasted 3 large holes where Xiao Chen previously stood. This displayed this sword technique's strength. The Heavenly Gate resistance fencing is quite interesting, Xiao Chen thought to himself. It was hard to imagine that a sword could still be so fast and strong after it has left the user's hands. Furthermore, it could kill at a distance, allowing the user to gain an advantageous position. However, in the end, someone controlled the sword. Xiao Chen turned his head to look at the white-clothed swordsman with a casual expression on the ship's bow. A ferocious purple flame started burning in his right eye. Boom. Soon, the flames in Xiao Chen's eyes quickly condensed into a purple whirlpool. With a thought, the purple thunder true fire containing the origin flame spewed forth. Watching from a distance, the surging purple flame was like a huge coiling dragon. Its purple light was indistinct. The winds howled, and thunder roared. Ding Fengqiu, who stood on the bow, frowned slightly. His right hand quickly formed hand seals, and the flying sword chasing Xiao Chen relentless pierced through the dense purple flames with a shoo sound, returning to Ding Fengqiu's hand. Break. Ding Fengqiu shouted a war cry as he brandished his sword. A 33-meter-long surging sword light appeared on the sword and hacked the purple flames in half in an instant. Ding Fengqiu leapt through the forging purple flames while gripping his sword. He arrived at the harbor in one leap. First senior brother, help me kill him. When Jin Wuji saw this person, he joyfully walked over. Ding Fengqiu smiled faintly and ignored Jin Wuji. He stared at Xiao Chen. His gaze was like a sharp sword piercing at Xiao Chen. What a sharp sword intent! Xiao Chen exclaimed in his heart. He is only a medial grade martial king, but his quantity and quality of essence are no less than mine. In fact, it is superior to mine. It looked like the other party was a genius swordsman that the Heavenly Sword Gate had heavily invested in. He certainly had more spirit herbs available to him than others. Bai Lixi whispered to Xiao Chen, "You are probably not a match for this person. Not only has he comprehended sword intent, but his essence is also denser than yours. He should have just returned from the Boundless Sea's deep-sea battlefield. This is when his killing chi is at its strongest." Without needing Bai Lixi to remind him, Xiao Chen had already felt it. He placed his right hand on his saber hilt and quickly merged his state of thunder and state of massacre. The snow-white blade flickered between red and purple alternatively. It looked very odd. A dense fighting intent appeared in Xiao Chen's eyes. He did not shrink back at all. He had been searching for a true opponent to test his strength. The Ding Fengqiu before Xiao Chen was undoubtedly a suitable person. When Ding Fengqiu saw the two alternating lights on Xiao Chen's saber, a look of interest flashed in his eyes. Interesting, he has comprehended the state of massacre and state of thunder. Maybe he can withstand a few of my strikes. Shoo! Ding Fengqiu's sword trembled and gave off a melodious hum. He made his move in an instant, piercing his sword toward Xiao Chen's forehead. A dense red light illuminated Ding Fengqiu's sword. This Ding Fengqiu had comprehended the state of massacre as well. Dang! Xiao Chen swung his saber lightly and deflected Ding Fengqiu's sword. He pushed himself off the ground and activated the windwalk shoes as he executed the Azure Dragon Cloud soaring art. Xiao Chen's speed increased explosively. He moved like a roaming dragon as he sent out 9 saber strikes towards Ding Fengqiu. Dang! 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 Ding Fengqiu's expression changed slightly. He did not expect Xiao Chen to be so fast. However, he was not overly astonished. He moved strangely, changing his position as Xiao Chen swung his saber. Although Dong Fengqiu was slightly slower than Xiao Chen, he was not at a disadvantage. He obviously used an extremely exquisite movement technique. When the weapons clashed, countless sparks flew from the blades. The two states of massacre clashed intensely as they made their moves. The horrifying states of massacre spread throughout the harbor. Many cultivators felt a huge pressure. It was like a sword or a treasured saber hanging above their head, ready to fall at any time. It was terrifying. Gale sword dance, wind from all sides. Suddenly, Ding Fengqiu shouted and merged another state into his sword, the berserk state of wind. Then he sent out a horrifying sword technique. The wind from all sides created a strong gale. There seemed to be a supreme sword intent hidden in each gust of wind. The sword intent merged with the gale and the state of massacre. When Ding Fengqiu made this move, Xiao Chen was instantly helpless to it. This was especially so when he used the two merged states. Xiao Chen was suppressed when they competed regarding essence. Xiao Chen broke apart the wind. When the sword flew toward his face, his figure flashed and trembled. In that instant, he split into 9. Then, the 9 figures split into another 9 each. This was the high-leveled technique of the Azure Dragon Cloud soaring art, the roaming dragon's 9 transformations. Now that Xiao Chen had advanced to Martial King, he had enough essence to execute it twice consecutively. Instantly, 81 Xiao Chens appeared in the air. A strong boundless wind blew. Each of the Xiao Chen's executed Wukui transforms to Qi at the same time. Instantly, countless purple saber Qi filled the air. Dang! 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 The relentless strings of saber Qi and the sword Qi hidden in the gale gave off metallic clangs, reverberating throughout the harbor. With the support of the gale, Ding Fengchu's state of massacre became more vast and faster. Its area of influence expanded, and the state of massacre became berserk. Boom! All of the Xiao Chens merged, and he broke the wind from all sides. He had also executed the state of thunder to its limits, resisting the two states. When Bai Lixi saw signs of the two intending to fight to the death, he felt impatient. If they keep fighting like this, they will fight for at least half a day. A 2 meters odd stout figure leapt off the ground with pure force and landed between the two in an instant. Bai Lixi immediately swung his axe at Ding Fengchu violently. It was unknown how much force was behind the axe. When the axe swung downwards, space seemed to twist apart. It was hard to imagine that Bai Lixi had achieved this with just pure force. Bang! Ding Fengchu's sword technique struck the axe and gave off a loud sound. A formless shockwave radiated, and the two retreated several steps before they stopped. I say, brat, he merely trampled on trash from your sect a few times. Is there really a need to fight so hard? Bai Lixi rested his axe on the ground, holding it upright as he shouted. When Jin Wuji, who was at the side, heard this, his expression reflected his rage. He scolded, Bai Lixi, who are you calling trash? What are you? Bai Lixi laughed, what a joke. After being trampled on like a dead dog, you still dare to say you are not trash. Yet, someone like you dares chase others from you Chengxi. What are you? Just a piece of trash. If it were not for the heavenly sword gate, this old man would have smashed trash like you to death with a palm strike. You. Jin Wuji was so angry that his face turned purple. His hands trembled as he gripped his sword tightly, wanting to rush up. Ding Fengchu stopped him, and his face sank. He said coldly, have you not embarrassed yourself enough? Go down. Jin Wuji turned ashen. He was extremely upset. From the very start, Xiao Chen had spoiled all of his plans. Now, Xiao Chen caused Jin Wuji embarrassment. He was the bane of Jin Wuji's existence, suppressing him heavily. Ding Wenzhou pulled Jin Wuji down and sheathed his sword. He glanced at Xiao Chen and said, not bad. It looks like I have another competitor worth paying attention to in the next 5-nation youth competition. Live well and don't die early. You will not be so lucky the next time. After Ding Fengchu spoke, he dragged Jin Wuji away, heading for the city on the Greenwind Island. After the fight ended, there was nothing else to see. The crowd slowly scattered. Most of them had not expected Xiao Chen to be so strong. Even Ding Fengchu, who had entered the top 50 in the last 5-nation youth competition, could defeat Xiao Chen in a short time. Bai Lixi looked at Xiao Chen, who felt it was unfortunate. He said, brat, don't make that look. He only used 70% of his strength. The fight would have tilted in his favor after 500 moves at most. Xiao Chen smiled faintly, and what percent of my strength do you think I used? He may have a small chance of defeating me, but there is no chance of him killing me. After Ding Fengchu and Jin Wuji left, Jin Wuji said in dissatisfaction, first senior brother, why did you not kill him? He humiliated me so badly. If I don't take his life, it will be difficult for me to quench my hatred. Ding Fengchu said calmly. Bai Lixi was beside him. It would have cost too much to kill him. It is not worth this small matter. The sky now completely became dark. The harbor slowly filled with ships returning to the continent. Xiao Chen and Bai Lixi random boarded a ship that would pass the ancient desolate land. After Xiao Chen handed over the spirit stones, he walked onto the deck. There were many exhausted cultivators on the deck. These people were all very strong. The most crucial thing was that Xiao Chen could feel a heavy killing qi on them. It was like Ding Fengqiu. The only difference was that he had merged this killing qi into his state of massacre and could control it well. As for these people, they were unable to control it freely. It was clear that they had not comprehended the state of massacre. These cultivators had no intention of staying on the ship. They left in groups of 2 or 3. They should be planning to go to the Greenwind Island to rest for a period. Soon, all the cultivators on the deck left. Only Xiao Chen and Bai Lixi remained. Xiao Chen recalled something. Bai Lixi, you mentioned earlier that Ding Fengqiu had just come from the Boundless Sea's deep-sea battlefield. Is it the same for all these cultivators? Bai Lixi nodded and said, that's right. If they went to the Boundless Sea for experiential training, they must have gone to the deep-sea battlefield. However, because of their difference in strength, the people who just left must have experienced a different level of battle than Ding Fengqiu. Battlefield. What exactly is this battlefield? Can you explain in more detail? Xiao Chen asked out of interest. Earlier, while Xiao Chen fought Ding Fengqiu, the other party only had to use the state of massacre to block the might of his 2 combined states. Clearly, Ding Fengqiu's comprehension of the state of massacre was deeper than Xiao Chen's. Hence, Xiao Chen felt somewhat interested in this deep-sea battlefield. Ding Fengqiu must have trained his state of massacre there. Bai Lixi muttered for a while before saying, the battlefields in the deep sea and shallow sea can be said to be the battle between humans and demons. The deep sea is the base of the demonic world in this world. A demonic calamity always begins in the deep sea. It contains the largest spatial crack in the world. It is impossible to seal that spatial crack completely. Hence, there is an inexhaustible horde of demons in the deep sea. The war there has never stopped. Xiao Chen's expression changed greatly. He was somewhat astonishment as he said, why is there such a horrifying thing? Why have I not heard of it before, not even a single word? Bai Lixi laughed, that is normal. The last demonic calamity was 10,000 years ago. According to the usual patterns, the next demonic calamity will not arrive for another few thousand years. Only, the deep sea's spatial crack is not completely sealed, so strong demons will emerge occasionally. Going from your expression, you look like you intend to go to the deep sea battlefield for experiential training. If you want to understand a little more before you go, I can tell you about my experience in the deep sea battlefield in detail. Xiao Chen glanced at Bai Lixi and felt suspicious. He said, have you been to the deep sea battlefield? Bai Lixi glared at Xiao Chen and said, why, based on your tone, you make it sound like this old man cannot go there. Let me tell you this, not only I have been there, but I have also been to the grade 3 battlefield. It looks like agitating Bai Lixi is useful, Xiao Chen thought to himself. A smile appeared on his face as he said, tell me in detail then. What is a grade 3 battlefield? How big is the battlefield? Do the different grades mean there are different enemies? Bai Lixi shrugged and smiled, don't think that you are so smart. Although this old man looks stupid, agitating me became useless long ago. If you want to hear news about the deep sea battlefield, all you need to do is to give me one more layer of the firmament body tempering art. I risked my life to obtain this information. Xiao Chen could only sigh helplessly. He had expected this fellow to make this move long ago. He shook his head slightly and turned around to head for the ship's hold. Xiao Chen could not be bothered with the loud and boisterous Bai Lixi behind him. After he spent 2,000 inferior grade spirit stones, he successfully obtained a comfortable room within the ship's hold. Xiao Chen sat on the bed in the room. He took out the 1,000-year-old snow ginseng and muttered to himself, 1,000-year-old snow ginseng, this should help me to stabilize my cultivation as an inferior grade martial king. 1,000-year-old snow ginseng could normally raise Xiao Chen's cultivation by 20 years worth of effort. However, that was in the situation where Xiao Chen had not ingested a large amount of spirit herbs. At this moment, Xiao Chen's resistance to spirit herbs was quite high. Furthermore, his cultivation was pretty powerful already. Hence, this 1,000-year-old snow ginseng could only increase his cultivation by 10 years of effort. This was acceptable though. As of now, the 500-year-old snow ginseng could not even exhibit 20% of its effects. 10 years of cultivation effort would allow Xiao Chen's cultivation to become extremely firm. Xiao Chen had used a snow ginseng once before. He was already familiar with the process. After Xiao Chen melted the frost on the snow ginseng and infused it with the spirit herb, he poured his essence in and slowly mixed the insides. Xiao Chen was not anxious. After working carefully for an hour, the solid insides of the spirit herb were refined into a liquid. Xiao Chen placed it in his mouth and bit a corner of it. A cool, refreshing liquid immediately flowed down his throat. When all the medicinal liquid had traveled to Xiao Chen's stomach, a robust medicinal energy immediately appeared and flowed within the meridians as a gushing river. Xiao Chen felt his entire body grow warm, and his face flushed red. The qi and blood in his body surged, becoming extremely vigorous. It was like his entire body was burning up. The 1,000-year-old snow ginseng had somewhat exceeded Xiao Chen's expectations. The medicinal energy was slightly faster and more violent than he had anticipated. Xiao Chen sank his consciousness down and quickly circulated the purple thunder divine incantation. The speed of the 6th layer was triple that of the 5th layer. It was no longer the same as before. It quickly absorbed the energy within the medicinal liquid. As the medicinal energy poured in, the purple qi whirlpool became more resilient. Although it did not show any obvious expansion, it became capable of taking more stress, raising the quality of essence. The vastness of the 1,000-year-old snow ginseng slightly surpassed Xiao Chen's expectations. He spent 4 entire days before he absorbed all the medicinal energy. After that, Xiao Chen used 3 days to advance his cultivation to peak inferior grade Martial King. In total, Xiao Chen spent 7 days accomplishing these tasks. He opened his eyes and clenched his fist tightly. He immediately felt a surging energy gather in his palm. I have finally become a peak inferior grade Martial King. Only now can I be considered a true Martial King, Xiao Chen said joyfully. When I had just advanced to Martial King, the quality of my essence was somewhat unstable. Only after reaching peak inferior grade Martial King did it stabilize. If Xiao Chen ran into Ding Fengqiu again, he had the confidence to compete with essence without losing. Xiao Chen pushed open the door and stepped out, casually heading to the deck. He had not left the room for 7 days and wanted a breath of fresh air. Bai Lixi felt utterly bored as he sat on the deck of the merchant ship. There were no other cultivators on the ship, only Xiao Chen and himself. When Bai Lixi heard footsteps, he quickly spun around and looked. When he felt Xiao Chen's aura, he was astonished. He asked, "You advanced to peak inferior grade Martial King." Xiao Chen smiled faintly, "It's all thanks to that 1,000-year-old snow ginseng. It saved me half a year of time." Bai Lixi felt a pinch in his heart. He felt some regret as he said, "The snow ginseng is originally a rank 7 spirit herb. It is very rare for it to reach 1,000 years of age. In a regular great sect, they could not even bear to let their genius disciples use one." After sighing, Bai Lixi continued, "If there is an elder who needs it, they would definitely give it to the elder before even considering their disciples. You, brat, are very lucky. You actually monopolized the fortuitous encounter on Chinran Island. In the end, you even took this old man's 1,000-year-old snow ginseng." Xiao Chen said softly, "Don't worry, as long as I obtain the secret treasure, I will hand over the latter half of the firmament body tempering art to you. Actually, you don't have to keep following me. Once I obtained the secret treasure, I will deliver it to you personally. Bai Lixi said, Brat, you have many tricks up your sleeves. I'd be a fool to believe you. Unless I follow you, I can't rest assured. Xiao Chen looked at the scene ahead. He interrupted Bai Lixi and said, let's stop speaking. We're approaching the Thunder Emperor Valley. The two looked up, and the towering Thunder Emperor Valley loomed in their vision. Interestingly, Bai Lixi stopped speaking and remained silent. The merchant ship slowly advanced into the Thunder Emperor Valley. The instant it entered, the sun above them disappeared. Dense clouds cast a shadow over the deck. Boom, boom, boom. The boundless thunderclouds churned. Thunder roared in the sky. Xiao Chen felt the supreme might of thunder. The huge sculpture of the Thunder Emperor in the ravine was as grand as before. It looked like it could leap out of the ravine at any moment. Given Xiao Chen's past experience, he had placed the lunar shadow saber into his universe ring before he entered the Thunder Emperor Valley. Although it trembled within the universe ring, it could not leap out. Xiao Chen looked up and saw boundless thunderclouds filling the sky, stretching over a large expanse, endless. Suddenly, Xiao Chen frowned. Unexpectedly, he saw several figures at the top of the towering ravine. Several people stood on each side. That should be the closest distance to the immortal will of thunder. Why are there people who dare to go up there? Xiao Chen felt curious. He slowly extended his spiritual sense up. As the thunder roared, Xiao Chen's spiritual sense seemed to weaken. Normally, all it took was a thought, and Xiao Chen could extend his spiritual sense by several thousand meters. Now, it was difficult to move it an inch. He had to be careful. No matter how hard Xiao Chen tried, he could not advance his spiritual sense forward any faster. When he noticed this situation, he could only let it be. After an hour, Xiao Chen's spiritual sense arrived at the top and revealed the scene in his mind. Several hundred cultivators lined up the two sides, seated cross-legged on the ground. A sword rested next to many of the cultivators. All their auras were different, but all of them were, at the least, half-step martial monarchs. Xiao Chen even discovered quite a few martial monarchs on some of the higher areas. Like the rest, they sat cross-legged with closed eyes. Boom. Just as Xiao Chen tried to take a closer look, the immortal will of thunder sent a bolt of lightning toward Xiao Chen's spiritual sense. The bolt of lightning illuminated the dark sky till it was as bright as day. The expressions of all the cultivators, who were seated with their eyes shut, changed. They all opened their eyes simultaneously. Xiao Chen was startled by the thunder's rage. He wanted to pull his spiritual sense back but discovered that this strand of spiritual sense was no longer under his control. It was fixed in the air, unable to move. Damn it. The spiritual sense is connected to my consciousness. The most horrifying thing is that bolt of lightning. If it struck my spiritual sense, it would take at least 3 months to recover my mind, spirit, and qi. Xiao Chen thought to himself in horror. In the past, even if his spiritual sense were blocked, he could break off the connection. This was the first time he had ever encountered such a situation. Shoo! Just as the bolt of lightning was about to hit Xiao Chen's spiritual sense, a whirlpool suddenly appeared in the sky and pulled the bolt of lightning back. After escaping the danger, Xiao Chen quickly yanked back his spiritual sense before heaving a sigh of relief. When Bai Lixi, who stood next to him, sensed the situation above, his expression changed greatly. He said softly, "Brat, are you seeking death? You even dared to mess around in the Thunder Emperor Valley. If you want to die, do it by yourself. Don't drag me into it." Xiao Chen smiled bitterly and said, "I'm sorry. I won't do it again." On the top of the ravine, all the half-step martial monarchs were feeling suspicious. The bolt of lightning sent out by the Immortal will of thunder withdrew unexpectedly. This was the first time they witnessed such a thing. The merchant ship finally left the Thunder Emperor Valley. The blazing sun warmed the deck once more. Xiao Chen and Bai Lixi both exhaled and relaxed. Bai Lixi shouted angrily, "Brat! What did you do earlier? I felt like a sharp sword was hovering right above my head. If it fell, I would have died." Xiao Chen turned around to look at the Thunder Emperor Valley and said, "I saw some people at the top of the Thunder Emperor Valley and thought it was odd." Bai Lixi said, "What's so strange about that? Those are all strong cultivators tempering their states. If you have the guts to, you can go as well. I seem to recall that you have comprehended the state of thunder as well." Xiao Chen muttered to himself, "The immortal will of thunder is impressive. I can give it a try in the future." Bai Lixi said, "After lasting 1,000 years without weakening, of course, it's impressive. In the past, there were even martial sages who tried to plunder this immortal will of thunder. However, they all failed in the end. There was nothing to see on the deck." After Xiao Chen and Bai Lixi exchanged a few words, Xiao Chen returned to his room and continued cultivating. 7 days later, Xiao Chen sat on the bed with his eyes shut while he cultivated. A knocking roused him. Xiao Chen opened his eyes and put away the half-used medial-grade spirit stone into the universe ring. He got up and quickly opened the door. Bai Lixi appeared and said, "Brat, we have arrived." Xiao Chen felt suspicious. He said, "How did we arrive so fast? That makes no sense. The ancient desolate land was far away. By Xiao Chen's estimation, they could not travel half the distance in 7 days." Bai Lixi said, "Brat, you are pretty unlucky. The ship you chose is from the Great Chu Nation. We can only disembark at a harbor near the ancient desolate land and walk the rest of the way." The two emerged from the ship's hold. Many cultivators already arrived on the deck. With Bai Lixi taking the lead, no one blocked their way. "Where is the demon battlefield? How much further do we have to walk?" After they left the harbor, Xiao Chen inquired. Bai Lixi frequently spent his time wandering around the ancient desolate land, so he understood the area well. He replied, "We are going to the first stop of the ancient desolate land now. That is the city nearest to the southern borders, the underworld city. As for the demon battlefield, it is still far away." Xiao Chen stopped and looked at the silhouette of a city far in the distance. He muttered to himself, "Walking there will waste too much time. Since we have already arrived at the ancient desolate land, we should rush over at full speed." Bai Lixi said, "You aren't thinking of flying, right? I focus on cultivating my physical body. Before reaching martial monarch, I am not capable of sustained flight. Furthermore, it is a long distance. It will use a lot of essence if you want to fly all the way. More importantly, when did I say we were in the ancient desolate land? We will only reach the ancient desolate land after we travel over 50 kilometers past the underworld city. Anyway, we should get to underworld city. There are flying relay stations there with spirit beasts that travel directly to the demon battlefield." Unexpectedly, "It is still so far away." Xiao Chen frowned slightly. It looked like this ancient desolate land was much larger than he had expected. However, Xiao Chen still had his ways. A silver warship flew out of his right eye as he said, "Get on, just tell me the direction. I will give you a lift." As Bai Lixi watched the silver warship suddenly fly out, his eyes were full of astonishment. He said, "This is a flying secret treasure. I have seen this in the ancient desolate lands auction before. It is impossible to obtain one without 5,000 medial-grade spirit stones." Xiao Chen immediately leapt onto the ship, and Bai Lixi followed closely behind. With a thought, the silver warship became a flash of light and flew into the clouds. Following Bai Lixi's directions, Xiao Chen navigated the silver warship at full speed. They arrived in the airspace of the underworld city within an hour. After they traveled 50 kilometers, Xiao Chen did not see the expected ancient desolate land. Instead, he only saw a vast lake. Xiao Chen felt doubtful and asked, "Didn't you say that after 50 kilometers, we would reach the ancient desolate land? Why do I see nothing but a lake?" Bai Lixi said, "How ignorant. This huge lake is the ancient desolate land. After the Tianwu dynasty ended, the imperial capital was destroyed. The area 10,000 kilometers around it sank into the ground. After that, it rained heavily for 10 years, forming this unprecedented massive lake, the Heavenly Extermination Lake. A lake formed by 10 years of heavy rain. How big exactly was this lake?" Xiao Chen thought. "Compared to my previous world, this would be about 10 times the size of China." Bai Lixi continued, "However, when people speak of the ancient desolate land, they refer to the numerous islands of various sizes in the Heavenly Extermination Lake. If you want to go to the demon battlefield, that is located on Boulder Island." Xiao Chen piloted the silver warship to fly in the clouds. Occasionally, people flew by on spirit beasts or directly using essence. Sometimes, they would shoot a glare at the two on the ship. After all, the value of a flying secret treasure was tremendous. It was enough to inspire others to attack. However, most people quickly left after glancing at the two. Especially when people saw Bai Lixi, they no longer had any designs on the silver warship. Xiao Chen even saw some who immediately turned and flew away, retreating into the distance after they saw Bai Lixi. Xiao Chen laughed and said, "I did not realize that you had such a strong deterrence here. You don't have to do anything, and you frighten people away." Bai Lixi objected to that. "I still have some influence in the south, but when we draw nearer to the desolate city, that is worth nothing. When we reach there, you best hide your flying secret treasure. Otherwise, if someone strong wants to snatch your things, no one can stop him." "Where is Boulder Island within the Heavenly Extermination Lake? Is it near the core area?" Xiao Chen asked. He did not know anything about the ancient desolate land and had to rely on Bai Lixi. Bai Lixi answered, "No, it is not in the core region. Boulder Island is rather special. Although it does not have a large population, there are many cultivators on the island because of the demon battlefield. Furthermore, most of them are martial kings. Occasionally, half-step martial monarch will show up as well." Following that, Bai Lixi introduced Boulder Island to Xiao Chen from various angles, giving him a comprehensive and objective understanding. Although Boulder Island was about the same size as Chinran Island, there was only a small city on the island, Boulder City. Strong demonic beasts occupied the other areas. This was an island ideal for experiential training. A formation left from the ancient era lay in the center of the island. After one passed through the formation, they could enter the mysterious demon battlefield to hunt demons and obtain secret treasures. "We have arrived," Bai Lixi said suddenly as he pointed at an island below. Xiao Chen focused himself. After they descended to a height of 1,000 meters, he recalled the silver warship back into his right eye and jumped down with Bai Lixi. Xiao Chen landed firmly without making any sound. A small, simple city appeared in front of him. The city walls were low and dim. It looked like a desolated and declined small city. It was even more shabby than Mohe City. However, the 10-odd guards standing at the city gate would deter such thoughts. The weakest of these guards was an inferior-grade martial saint, and the strongest was a martial king. Furthermore, they all had extremely strong auras. Their right hands were always on the weapons hanging from their waists as they emitted an indistinct killing chi that lingered. Such a lineup was stronger than anything Xiao Chen had seen in Zaihe City. Boom! A loud sound came from behind Xiao Chen, and the ground trembled slightly. Naturally, it was Bai Lixi landing. "Damn it, brat. You started jumping at 1,000 meters without any warning. Are you trying to kill this old man? Bai Lixi looked pissed. He cursed and swore as he walked forward. Falling from 1,000 meters would definitely not cause Bai Lixi any harm. He was merely being grouchy and whining. Xiao Chen said indifferently, "Are we going to the demon battlefield first or the city first?" Bai Lixi asked, "What's the date today?" "The 9th. Bai Lixi walked forward with great strides. He said, "Let's enter the city first. The entrance of the demon battlefield will only open during the full moon. We still have some time. You can use this time to prepare. The number of cultivators who die on the demon battlefield is not limited to 1 or 2 each time." Xiao Chen could not say anything, only listen to Bai Lixi and follow behind him, approaching the city gates. Occasionally, Xiao Chen saw cultivators rushing around on the wide street. These people were not weak. He did not see anyone with cultivations lower than Martial Saint. Compared to other cultivators Xiao Chen met, the biggest difference he noticed was that, aside from being very strong, they all had a dense killing chi. Sometimes, a ferocious glint flashed in their eyes. With one look, Xiao Chen could tell they were hardened criminals. Entry toll: 1,000 inferior grade spirit stones for you and 3,000 for you, the leader of the guards said after glimpsing at their cultivation. Xiao Chen had to pay 1,000 inferior grade spirit stones, but it was 3,000 for Bai Lixi. Although Xiao Chen felt it was strange that the entry toll was so high, this was his first time here, and the customs of other places were different. So, he obediently handed over 1,000 inferior grade spirit stones. Bai Lixi laughed and took out a black medallion. Then, he showed it to the guard leader before saying, "I'm a grade 4 member. I don't need to pay the toll. Let's enter." After the two entered the city, Xiao Chen asked depressedly, "What was that medallion from earlier? Why do you not need to pay the entry toll?" Bai Lixi put away the medallion and smiled cockily, "It's an ancient desolate pass. You can make one in Underworld City. Although you can only make the lowest grade, you can get a 10% discount on entry tolls." Ancient desolate pass, Xiao Chen muttered to himself for a while. He still did not understand. So, he convinced Bai Lixi to explain further. An organization called the Heavenly Extermination Union gained the recognition of all the powers in the ancient desolate land. In this union, cultivators could apply for a medallion. This medallion was the Ancient Desolate Pass. Using the Ancient Desolate Pass, cultivators could issue or take on missions at the Heavenly Extermination Union. Cultivators raised their grade by completing these missions. The lowest grade of the Ancient Desolate Pass was grade 1 and the highest, grade 9. The higher the rank, the more privileges a cultivator would enjoy in the cities of the Ancient Desolate Land. Bai Lixi continued, "This Heavenly Extermination Union has an extremely mysterious origin. Even to date, no one knows who backs it. However, that is not a concern for regular cultivators. Getting an Ancient Desolate Pass is a good way of entering the Ancient Desolate Lands quickly." As the two spoke, Bai Lixi led Xiao Chen to the largest restaurant in the city, the Immortal Gathering Pavilion. When Xiao Chen asked for a superior room, he had to pay for it with inferior grade spirit stones as well. The silver banknotes from outside were useless. After a night's rest, Xiao Chen asked around for information in the restaurant. After all, he could not rely on Bai Lixi for everything. If Xiao Chen asked Bai Lixi too many questions, he could eventually divert the topic to the firmament body tempering art, which was very irritating. Many cultivators entered the restaurant every day. It was a convenient place to obtain information. After paying some extra inferior grade spirit stones, Xiao Chen gained a more comprehensive understanding from the waiter in the restaurant. It turned out that this demon battlefield had been closed for more than 100 years. It only opened 2 years ago. After that, many cultivators started coming to Boulder Island. Xiao Chen learned that the demon battlefield was rumored to be an ancient battlefield. Large wars had occurred there during the ancient era. In the end, the humans suffered a miserable defeat. Countless cultivators died at the hands of demons and demonic beasts. The last human emperor used his supreme strength to tear out the space of the battlefield, turning it into the demon battlefield of today. Countless human cultivators died on the demon battlefield. The secret treasures of those ancient cultivators lay buried in the battlefield. Later, during the Tianwu dynasty, someone used a formation to connect to the gates of this space. He discovered that this space became a small realm. Countless demons and demonic beasts wandered within. All sorts of ancient secret treasures littered the ground. It became a place full of danger and fortuitous encounters. The waiter had not known many of the specifics. After all, he had never been to the demon battlefield. He had no way of knowing the details. After Xiao Chen rewarded the other party with 10 inferior grade spirit stones and sent him on his way, he thought to himself, gathering information like this does not give me a complete understanding of the situation. I have to find a cultivator who has been to the demon battlefield before I can gain a thorough understanding. Ha ha. Brat, don't overthink this. Since I have agreed to go with you, why are you still worried? Bai Lixi came down from upstairs and plopped his butt down across from Xiao Chen as he laughed. Xiao Chen picked up the wine cup from the table and sipped it gently. He smiled helplessly. I hope you are reliable, then. Bai Lixi took a big gulp of wine before wiping his mouth on his sleeve. He said, don't bother with that nonsensical information. Just study the map I gave you carefully and don't wander into the core region. Aside from keeping your guard up against demons and demonic beasts, you just have to keep your guard up against other cultivators. Honestly, most of the death in the demon battlefield happens at the hands of other humans. Xiao Chen's chest tightened. It looked like the situation was worse than he thought. Not only did he have to deal with the unknown demonic beasts and demons, but he also had to keep his guard up against the sneak attacks from other humans. This medial grade secret treasure might be more difficult to obtain than Xiao Chen had imagined. In the following days, Xiao Chen explored the surroundings of the small city. Demonic beasts wandered there. It made this location suitable for practicing martial techniques. Before Xiao Chen went to the demon battlefield, he could keep himself in an ideal state at all times. Soon, 6 days had passed. The originally bustling small city became quiet. The large numbers of cultivators quickly headed in the same direction. After almost all the cultivators in the Immortal Gathering Pavilion left, Bai Lixi and Xiao Chen followed after them. Everywhere the two passed, dead demonic beasts littered the ground, slain by the cultivators who came before them. Nothing obstructed their way. After 6 hours, the two stopped at the center of Boulder Island. A large crowd had already gathered there. A rough count gave at least 1,000 cultivators. I heard an inferior grade martial king had obtained 9 peak inferior grade secret treasures the last time. Then, he took them to the auction in Desolate City and gained a fortune. There was another lucky fellow. He hunted a high-ranked blood demon and sold its demon core for at least 10,000 medial grade spirit stones. Many of the cultivators discussed the enticing treasures that could be obtained from the demon battlefield. Their eyes filled with anticipation as they looked at the empty space in the middle. Bai Lixi smiled coldly. These people are really reckless. It will already be impressive if half of these cultivators survive. Xiao Chen's gaze wandered around the crowd, seeking cultivators worth making a note of. However, some of the experienced cultivators hid themselves very well. It was difficult to obtain any information just by looking. As for some of the excited cultivators who could not keep their mouths shut, this was clearly their first trip to the demon battlefield. They did not know the situation inside. The full moon moved slowly through the sky, creeping to its peak before the crowd's expectant gazes. Instantly, the middle area lit up with gentle light, looking like a towering pillar. The space around the pillar of light started to twist slowly. Su. Su. The cultivators leapt into the pillar of light and vanished from Xiao Chen's sight. This pillar of light must have been the entrance to the demon battlefield. When most of the cultivators had vanished, Xiao Chen prepared to enter. Bai Lixi's expression suddenly changed, and he yanked Xiao Chen back. He said, "Wait a while." Xiao Chen felt doubtful as he asked, "What's wrong?" Bai Lixi pointed and said, "Look there." Xiao Chen looked in the direction Bai Lixi pointed. He saw 10-odd strong cultivators with extremely powerful auras. He could not sense the strength of this group of people. I nearly missed them. These are all half-step martial monarch experts. It looks like they are working together to kill high-ranked demons. Such operations are quite rare. I have to follow them and watch. Go, get the secret treasure alone. Bai Lixi whispered with an intense flash in his eyes. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. Will you be fine? Bai Lixi smiled and said, "Thanks to you, I have already cultivated the firmament body tempering art to the 4th layer. My strength is double that of 3 months ago." Xiao Chen was somewhat startled. This Bai Lixi was truly a genius at cultivating the body. Within such a short period, he managed to cultivate a heaven-ranked cultivation technique to the 4th layer. Don't get too greedy and die early. Otherwise, my latter half of the firmament body tempering art will be gone. I will make a move first. Seeing the 10-odd people enter, Bai Lixi laughed as he followed them, entering the pillar of light. Then, Bai Lixi turned around and reminded him, "Be very cautious and don't risk your life for small gains. Remember to be careful of the people behind you." Xiao Chen smiled faintly to indicate that he understood. After spending time with Bai Lixi, he came to understand him better. Although he was not a righteous person or had a good temper, he was not a crafty person that played cunning tricks. He was pretty straightforward. This suited Xiao Chen very well. He took out a secret manual from the universe ring and tossed it towards Bai Lixi. When Bai Lixi heard the sound, he immediately turned and caught the secret manual. When he saw its contents, his expression turned into one wild with joy. When Bai Lixi looked up and wanted to say something, he discovered that Xiao Chen had already vanished and entered the pillar of light ahead of him. He could not help but smile. This brat, at least he did not cheat me. Naturally, what Xiao Chen had tossed was the latter half of the firmament body tempering art. After observing Bai Lixi for so long, he had determined that Bai Lixi had not lied to him. Since that was the case, there was no need to drag it on. Although Xiao Chen would like to maximize his gains, he would make true on the promises he made. Wang. After Xiao Chen entered the light, a desolate realm appeared before him. He looked up and saw a scarlet sky with the occasional red clouds drifting by. Rocks littered the ground, and there was no grass. Only some strange plants grew sporadically throughout the space. This landscape was very complicated. Xiao Chen used his spiritual sense to scan an area of 300 meters around him. Not only did Xiao Chen discover mounds, barren hills, and swamps, but he also discovered a forest of some strange plants. It was incredibly odd. Xiao Chen took out the map and started searching for his current location. The pillar of light on Boulder Island would send cultivators to random places in the demon battlefield's periphery. Aside from some special tools, no one could control where they appeared on the demon battlefield. After Xiao Chen figured out where he was, he carefully put the map away and looked around. Many cultivators in Xiao Chen's vision were in groups of 2 or 3, looking around excitedly. Some experienced cultivator cautiously glanced around. Their hands gripped their weapons, and they eyed the surrounding cultivators. Occasionally, a fierce expression flashed across their face. "Friend, are you alone?" Let's group up. Just as Xiao Chen was about to depart, candid laughter came from behind him. Xiao Chen turned around and saw a gray-robed cultivator with short hair. He had a squarish face and looked about 20-odd years old. A saber hung from his waist as he walked over to Xiao Chen with a smile. He was a superior grade martial king. A few cultivators of varying cultivation followed this gray-robed cultivator. Most of them were medial grade martial kings. The short-haired cultivator introduced himself. My name is Wei Tong. My friends and I are here for the first time. From the looks of it, this should be your first expedition too. How about we work together? As they spoke, Wei Tong's gaze quickly swept over Xiao Chen's getup. His gaze lingered for a moment on his shoes and robes. However, when Wei Tong saw the black gloves on Xiao Chen's hand, greed flashed in his eyes before it disappeared. However, he covered it up very well. His smile appeared very sincere. Xiao Chen smiled coldly to himself. He had seen the other party's greed. He said indifferently, "There's no need. I am used to being alone." Wei Tong revealed disappointment as he said, "That's too bad. If brother wishes to, you can look for us at any time." Xiao Chen cupped his hands and bowed before turning away. He withdrew his aura and left his hand on his saber hilt, maintaining his guard. After Xiao Chen had walked out of hearing range, a cultivator behind Wei Tong watched him with a fierce gleam in his eyes. He asked, doubtful, "Big brother, why did you not make a move? He is a fattened lamb, ready for slaughter. He has 3 secret treasures on him." "That right, boss. He is only a peak inferior grade martial king. We can deal with him in a few moves. After we kill him, there will not be any problems," another person spoke. Wei Tong's expression was calm as he said, "Stupid, do you think I do not know the difference between a fattened lamb and a ferocious wolf? If we rely on your insight, instead of eating the lamb, he might eat us instead." This person had calm eyes, and his hand rested on his saber hilt at all times. He maintained a certain distance from me, giving himself room to advance or retreat. Based on these points, it is clear that this person is not only cautious. How can it be so easy? Wei Tong paused for a while and looked in the direction Xiao Chen had left. Then, he continued, "More importantly, although this person is only an inferior grade martial king, his killing chi is denser than mine. He is not some benevolent person. The secret treasures on him are probably drenched in blood. What should we do then, big brother? I can't really bear to see such a fattened lamb get away." Wei Tong said sternly, "Even if you can't bear it, you have to. This demon battlefield is full of lambs for us to slaughter. Be careful not to offend someone you can't afford to. Even if you have 10 lives, that won't be enough. Let's go." Shoo. Drops of blood fell from the lunar shadow saber. Xiao Chen hacked apart a rank 7 demonic beast blocking his way. Not long after Xiao Chen separated from Wei Tong's group, demon beasts attacked. The demonic beasts here were especially crafty and patient. Several times, after expending a lot of effort to kill a demonic beast, a few demonic beasts would attack Xiao Chen as he relaxed. If Xiao Chen had not kept his guard up, he might have fallen under their assault. As Xiao Chen dug out the demonic cores, he thought somewhat doubtfully, weren't there supposed to be countless secret treasures littering the demonic battlefield? Why haven't I seen a single one? Bang! Bang! At this moment, an intense sound reached Xiao Chen from ahead with the wind. He stopped what he was doing and looked around. He found a high vantage point and scanned the area. The sound came from about 2,000 meters ahead. Xiao Chen could not see that far, but fortunately, he still had his spiritual sense. 2 medial grade martial kings in the distance fought an intense battle with an early rank 7 demonic beast. That demonic beast looked like a raging bull. A sharp horn protruded from its head, its bulk covered in fiery red fur. It looked like a ball of blazing flame. As it walked, the ground trembled. The demonic beast appeared frightening, but when the two martial kings worked together, it was no match for the two. The martial king's strength forced it into retreat. After all, it was only an early rank 7 demonic beast. The two martial kings' attacks were immensely powerful. Furthermore, they did not exert themselves or take any unnecessary risks. They could advance or retreat anytime they wanted. The demonic beast's defeat was only a matter of time. "It's just killing a demonic beast. Nothing impressive," Xiao Chen commented indifferently and prepared to withdraw his spiritual sense. However, he discovered something interesting. See. The demonic beast died, and the two martial kings tore its stomach open with a sharp knife. A blood-stained secret treasure fell out. This secret treasure was an exquisite bronze beast carving. This should be a demonic beast or spirit beast that existed in the ancient era. Spiritual energy wafted from the secret treasure. Even though it was stained with blood, nothing could conceal that extraordinary spiritual energy. Xiao Chen watched this scene and found it incredulous. Killing demonic beast to expose secret treasures, is this similar to the MMORPGs in my previous life? That is impossible, right? I have killed so many demonic beasts, but I did not obtain any secret treasures. Is it a problem with the drop rate? Xiao Chen could not understand what was happening. When he saw the martial kings obtain their prize, he was confused. He could not help but let his spiritual sense linger in the area. Only one secret treasure appeared, but a team of 2 killed the demonic beast. Distributing the secret treasure would be a problem. Even if they did not decide ownership now, deciding who would hold on to it would cause its own issues. This moment would test their characters. A complete secret treasure, even the weakest inferior grade secret treasure, would be worth at least 1,000 medial grade spirit stones. If one were lucky, they could possibly sell it for several thousand medial grade spirit stones. Regardless of the situation, this was a valuable item. It would excite most cultivators. Xiao Chen continued to watch with interest. Bang! As Xiao Chen expected, after the two verified it was a secret treasure, they attacked at the same time. They fought to the death over the secret treasure. When Xiao Chen saw this, he smiled bitterly, just an inferior grade secret treasure. If they trusted each other, this would not have happened. Thinking about it, they probably formed this team on the fly. The two's eyes turned red as they launched all sorts of killing moves. They hated that they could not kill the other party immediately. The fight grew intense, and soon, they both received significant injuries. Regardless of who won, they would suffer great injuries to their bodies and essence. After a while, when a victor had emerged, blood poured out from the ground. Xiao Chen's expression changed. That was a blood demon, one of the races from the demonic world. Xiao Chen had seen them before in that strange space in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. They ate the hearts of humans and were utterly cruel. Bang! The blood transformed into a pale figure. He emitted a baleful aura as he attacked with lightning speed. His sharp nails pierced towards the cultivators' hearts. The fight between the two cultivators reached the crucial moment. How could they have expected this? They cried out miserably, and the blood demon ripped out their hearts. Gah! 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 The blood demon laughed strangely as he held the two hearts in his hands. He revealed a wicked smile on his pale face. Xiao Chen could not bear to watch the following scene. The blood demon swallowed the two hearts directly, revealing his pleasure. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense informed him that, after the blood demon swallowed the cultivators' hearts, his baleful aura became denser. Pooh! Pooh! The blood demon casually kicked the two corpses, and they exploded, drenching the surrounding area in blood and gore. The bronze beast's secret treasure flew into the blood demon's hand. The blood demon revealed a mocking expression on his face. Humans are indeed the most inferior race. They cannot resist even the slightest temptation. They have proven this over and over again. Ga. 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 Xiao Chen felt it was unfortunate. This blood demon should be a low-ranked blood demon. He was only about as strong as a medial-grade martial king. If the two medial-grade martial kings had faced the blood demon properly, they could have killed him easily. However, because of one secret treasure, they lost their rationale and died without even leaving behind a corpse. That blood demon looked around. When he saw no one nearby, he found another early rank 7 demonic beast. The baleful aura of the blood demon terrified the demonic beast. He easily subdued the demonic beast and stuffed the secret treasure into it. A scarlet light flashed on the blood demon's hand. The demonic beast's wound instantly recovered, showing no signs of previous injuries. After he completed this task, the blood demon released the demonic beast, satisfied. He licked his lips and said with a greedy expression, "I wonder what the next prey will taste like. Human hearts are truly delectable." Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly. He finally understood why the demonic beasts contained secret treasures in their bodies. Naturally, the secret treasures were in the hands of the demons. Since humans wanted to hunt them down and obtain the secret treasures, the other party would treat humans as their prey as well. The more capable opponent would have the last laugh. Xiao Chen watched the hidden blood demon and said calmly, "Since I have seen the bronze beast's secret treasure, I should retrieve it." The scarlet clouds in the sky appeared endless and permanent. They would only ripple when a sharp wind blew. This sky was like a painting with only one color, scarlet. Xiao Chen moved quickly across the land. With one leap, he traveled several hundred meters. Everywhere he passed, he left behind a strong wind. Xiao Chen did his best to avoid the demonic beasts in his way. If he could not avoid them, he would try to end the fight quickly. Xiao Chen spent a full hour to cross a distance of 2,000 meters. Xiao Chen scanned the area with his spiritual sense and found the demonic beast in which the blood demon chose to hide the secret treasure. It was an early rank 7 demonic beast, purple python tiger. It looked like a ferocious tiger. Its legs were 10 meters long and faintly purple. Occasionally, it would emit a black gas from its pores. A purple tail that looked like a purple python coiled on the purple python tiger's back. The purple tail was as thick as an adult's arm. There was a bump on the end of the purple tail that looked like a snake's head. The early rank 7 demonic beast was as strong as a regular medial-grade martial king. Given Xiao Chen's strength, he could deal with it easily within 20 moves. However, for the sake of the blood demon hidden behind, Xiao Chen had to put on a good show before he could lure it out. Otherwise, his effort would go to waste if he scared it off. Xiao Chen revealed himself and landed before this demonic beast. He waved his hands and sent a wave of energy at it. Xiao Chen did not use too much essence. The purple python tiger easily dodged by tilting to the side. A fierce look appeared in its eyes as it launched itself at Xiao Chen. This purple python tiger leapt across a distance of 200 meters and arrived before Xiao Chen. It opened its large jaws and revealed 4 huge fangs. They glinted with a cold light as it bit towards Xiao Chen's neck. Hu! The massive purple python tiger created a strong wind as it moved through the air, causing Xiao Chen's hair to flutter around. Xiao Chen drew his saber, and a purple saber light appeared. He swung it towards the purple python tiger's neck. The beast roared angrily as it struck the blade with its right paw. Xiao Chen was pushed back several steps before he stabilized. The tiger roared excitedly and shoved Xiao Chen back. Its aura blazed as it launched itself at Xiao Chen. Dang! 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 Every strike the purple python tiger made with its front paws created an imposing sound. It carried several 10,000 kilograms of force as it smashed towards Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen held his saber in front of him, preventing the sharp claws from slicing into him. It seems somewhat strong. Its paws carry about 40,000 kilograms of force. However, this should not be its killing move. I have to continue acting. As Xiao Chen dodged, he analyzed his enemy calmly in his heart. In the blink of an eye, he exchanged hundreds of moves with the purple python tiger. When the purple python tiger saw that it was unable to knock Xiao Chen to the ground, it became thoroughly enraged. It opened its jaws and spat a black energy wave at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen focused, and his saber flickered with a purple light. He cut the energy wave in half. Hu Kai. After he hacked apart the energy wave, a purple snake head darted for Xiao Chen with lightning speed. Unexpectedly, the tail of the purple python tiger was a purple python. This startled Xiao Chen, making him jump back. However, this purple python tiger moved with astonishing speed. As Xiao Chen retreated, it managed to grab hold of his leg. Kai. Kai. The snake's body wrapped around Xiao Chen several times and stretched its jaws to bite. Xiao Chen saw the dark, venomous fangs. Not only would the bite injure him, but it would also contain poison. He moved his left hand with lightning speed and snapped the snake's jaws shut. Energy poured into Xiao Chen's arm, allowing his two fingers to clamp down on the snake's jaws. As Xiao Chen dealt with the purple python tiger's huge body smashed over. Xiao Chen suffered a strike to his chest and fell over. This should be enough. If I don't fight seriously, this beast will end up eating me for real, Xiao Chen thought to himself as he watched the purple python tiger open its jaws, targeting his neck. Bang! There was a crunching sound as Xiao Chen increased the strength in his left hand, causing the snake head to explode. Then, he slammed his fist into the purple python tiger's chest. Ka Ca. Xiao Chen circulated the dragon and tiger body sculpting art. This punch contained 125,000 of force. The force of the punch struck the internal organs of the purple python tiger, instantly shattering them. When its huge body was about to fall over, Xiao Chen rolled away and dodged it. The purple python tiger's corpse landed heavily on the ground with a loud bang. Xiao Chen's clothes were already torn apart at the chest when the purple python tiger lunged for him. His fine black hair was a mess, and dust covered his body. He looked extremely miserable. When the blood demon, who hid in the darkness, saw all this, he relaxed. He licked his lips, moving his tongue in a full circle, and revealed a greedy look in his eyes. Xiao Chen stretched his body before taking out a sharp knife from his universe ring. He tore open the belly of the purple python tiger and blood immediately poured out. An exquisite bronze sculpture also tumbled out of the beast's belly, covered in blood. Xiao Chen stretched his hand, and a suction force pulled the bronze sculpture to him. It floated above his palm. Xiao Chen stuck his saber in the ground next to him and took out an old piece of cloth. Then, he slowly wiped off the blood from the bronze sculpture. An extremely realistic sculpture filled with a supreme Tao appeared before Xiao Chen. When Xiao Chen clearly saw the appearance of the sculpture, he felt it was very familiar. Suddenly, he remembered that he saw it in the Compendium of Ancient Secret Treasures from the Fire Li sect. Everything that appeared in the Compendium of Ancient Secret Treasures was a famous secret treasure from the ancient era. If it were not a superior grade secret treasure, it would not appear in it. However, based on the aura of the bronze sculpture, it was clearly not the original. This should be a counterfeit. CC. An extremely faint sound came from behind Xiao Chen. If he had not been paying attention, he would not have heard it. I have waited so long for you. The corners of Xiao Chen's lips curled up, revealing a smile. Then, he stretched his hand out and grasped the lunar shadow saber. He spun around and stabbed the saber towards the ground. The tip of the saber struck a pool of flowing blood. Xiao Chen used a little force. Purple electricity crackled and flickered on the snow-white blade. Ah! A mournful miserable shriek echoed, and the pool of blood transformed into a human figure. The lunar shadow saber pinned the other party to the ground. The pure and tyrannical lightning-attributed essence rampaged within the body of this blood demon, causing it to twitch continuously without the ability to resist. Don't kill me, I still have many secret treasures. If you let me go, I will give them all to you. The blood demon attempted to bribe Xiao Chen in a quivering voice as a pained expression appeared on his face. The blood demon felt horrified in its heart. It had originally thought that this person had fallen for his tricks and was not very strong. He did not expect a sudden attack, not even giving him the chance to dodge. Xiao Chen, who had personally witnessed this blood demon swallow the heart of humans, did not believe his offer. If he tried to gain any small benefit from this crafty demon, he would certainly suffer for it. Xiao Chen pulled his saber out, and a fierce purple flame spewed from his right eye. He intended to burn this blood demon to death. As the fierce purple flames raged, the blood demon shrieked mournfully before the sound slowly faded. After a moment, he was nothing more than a pile of ash. Xiao Chen stabbed the pile of ash with his saber a few times, and a scarlet demon core appeared. The demon core contained a horrifying, baleful aura. If the baleful aura in the demon core could be absorbed, it would greatly raise a cultivator's killing chi. At the same time, it could temper the mental energy of a cultivator. Such items were frequently rare. However, the demon core from a low-ranked blood demon was not worth much. The baleful aura within did not have much of an effect on martial kings. Xiao Chen casually tossed the demon core into his universe ring. Then, he took out the Compendium of Ancient Secret Treasures. Soon, he found the origin of the bronze sculpture. The creature depicted by the bronze sculpture was a mutated beast from the ancient era. This mutated beast was called Yan. It was the strongest fire-attributed mutated beast in the world. TL note: Yan in Chinese means flame. However, calling the beast flame seemed silly in English, hence I stuck to the pinyin. Yan consumed flames as its food. There were no flames in this world that it could not eat. The more flames it ate, the stronger the flames it could produce. Using the Yan beast as inspiration, the ancient cultivators created a secret treasure that could devour any kind of flame. Once the flames merged within, the secret treasure could spew a frighteningly powerful fire. Although it could not compare to the true Yan beast, it was not much weaker. Its might could not be underestimated. It was a peak superior grade secret treasure. After Xiao Chen read the introduction, he played with the secret treasure in his hands. The bronze sculpture only flashed with some spiritual light. He said, "The radiance of a superior grade secret treasure can illuminate the sky. Its spiritual energy can extend for 5 kilometers. This Yan beast bronze sculpture looks ordinary. It is indeed a counterfeit." Xiao Chen removed the remnant mark on the Yan beast bronze sculpture and branded it with his own mark. Then, he prepared to use his purple thunder true fire to test the might of this Yan beast. Suddenly, a loud sound came from the distant sky like a crack of thunder. It was so loud it made the eardrums hurt. Xiao Chen looked up and saw a huge whirlpool appear in the scarlet clouds in the distance. Countless bolts of scarlet lightning flashed across the sky. A strong aura appeared on the ground and rose into the sky, scattering the scarlet clouds. Su. 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 Many cultivators felt this aura within the demon battlefield. Many of them could not resist their curiosity and looked up before quickly flying over. When Xiao Chen felt the energy fluctuating in the air, he muttered, "What a strong aura. This is equal to that of a martial monarch. Is that what those half-step martial monarchs are hunting?" An intense curiosity appeared in Xiao Chen's heart. He felt compelled to investigate the situation, but he eventually suppressed his curiosity. Even the most ordinary half-step martial monarch could deal with Xiao Chen with a few moves. It would be too naive of him if he tried to gain something from that situation. Even worse, there was still a demon as strong as a martial monarch. If he were not afraid, he could join in the excitement. Xiao Chen retracted his gaze and continued to head forward while maintaining his guard. Along the way, he ran into a few more crafty demons. Some of them simply threw the secret treasure on the ground. They relied on the secret treasure's aura to attract a cultivator's attention while they launched a sneak attack. Some of them even pretended to be human and tried to get close to Xiao Chen before snatching an opportunity to make a move. Xiao Chen saw through all these schemes. On his way to the medial grade secret treasure, he gained another 3 or 4 inferior grade secret treasures. Xiao Chen stopped moving when he reached a messy stone forest. He muttered to himself, "I have finally arrived here. This is certainly the demon battlefield's periphery. I hope Bai Lixi did not lie to me." The messy stone forest spanned for several thousand meters. Weird stones stood upright, each was at least 10 odd meters tall. The atmosphere within the forest was very odd, very quiet. When the wind blew through it, a faint bloody scent reached Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen scanned the forest with his spiritual sense and soon found the medial grade secret treasure that Bai Lixi had mentioned. A pair of black shoes lay quietly on top of a stone pillar in the middle of the forest. Xiao Chen could feel the shoes flickering with a dense spiritual light with his spiritual sense. Its spiritual energy gave of a pressure. The spiritual energy contained within the shoes was greater than that of a peak inferior grade secret treasure. This was, at least, an initial medial grade secret treasure. Bai Lixi had not cheated him. Xiao Chen's face lit up with joy. Coincidentally, the windwalk shoes he used could no longer keep up with him. They could now only raise his speed by 10%. Xiao Chen's movement speed could not break through Mach 2 and had been stuck at a bottleneck. Based on Xiao Chen's experience while traveling here, demons would frequently leave secret treasures on the ground to attract the attention of cultivators before killing them. This place should not be an exception. If there were no danger, this secret treasure would have been claimed long ago. Xiao Chen scanned the area again with his spiritual sense but did not discover the presence of any demons. He had expected this, but it did not mean there was no danger. The demons' ability to hide their aura was much better than humans. Unless Xiao Chen saw a demon with his own eyes, it was very hard for his spiritual sense to pick up their presence. Since this demon could use a medial grade secret treasure as a lure, it was not a low-ranked blood demon. It would definitely be stronger than the low-ranked blood demons that Xiao Chen could kill easily. I have to think of a way to deal with this, Xiao Chen pondered as he waited outside the stone forest. He was not in a rush to go in. Hidden enemies were always the most frightening. One could not anticipate where would the enemy come from or how strong the enemy was. Shoo! Xiao Chen casually waved his hand and pulled over 7 or 8 stones of about the same size. What this forest lacked least was stone. Xiao Chen sent out a few strands of essence, gently making the stones float. Then, he used 2 fingers to send out a sharp saber chi. As Xiao Chen's fingers moved, he carved a sculpture in midair. Stone shards fell continuously, and soon, an exquisite stone eagle appeared. Xiao Chen did not stop his fingers and continued carving. 8 stone eagles quickly appeared, surrounding him and floating quietly in the air. Life bestowal spell. Xiao Chen shouted and pointed forward. The 8 stone eagles in the air all came to life. Pu-ta! Pu-ta! The eagles' wingspans were over a meter long. They created small tornadoes on the ground as they flapped their wings. They flew into the stone forest like arrows leaving a bow. With Xiao Chen's current cultivation, The aid of the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation's 6th layer, and his familiarity with the Life Bestowal spell, he could easily create 8 eagles. When the eagles neared the secret treasure, 3 beams of red light flashed and blasted the leading 3 eagles into dust. After all, these eagles were created from ordinary stone. They did not have a high combat prowess. At the same time, a blood demon wearing long, red robes appeared on top of a stone pillar. His complexion was pale, and his gaze was sinister. Pa! 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 The red-robed blood demon swung his arms and sent out a few more red energy beams, attempting to shatter the remaining 5 eagles. This was a middle-rank blood demon. His strength was the equivalent of a superior-grade martial king with a comprehended state. He would be quite difficult to deal with, but still within the range of Xiao Chen's capabilities. I have to keep testing the situation and make sure he is alone. Xiao Chen waved his hand and pulled over 10 odd stones. Both of his hands moved gracefully, and stone shavings fell. Xiao Chen pushed his focus and movements to their limits. Within 3 breaths, the stone eagles were complete. Whoosh! The 10 odd large eagles rose into the air and darted for the stone pillar. They spread their wings and moved together, blotting out the sky. With so many eagles, one blood demon cannot shatter them all instantly. By then, I can make use of the opportunity to control the eagles to snatch the secret treasure. Unless there are other blood demons, Xiao Chen muttered to himself as he revealed a cautious gaze. Boom! 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 The eagles that flew towards the secret treasure shattered into dust, one after another. Xiao Chen focused all his spiritual sense on one of the eagle within the group. The eagle nimbly dodged the attacks and took the opportunity to snatch the pair of shoes with its claws, quickly retreating. Bang! Before this eagle could fly far, a blood arrow shattered it. The shoes fell to the ground. Another blood demon appeared on the stone pillar. He wore long blue robes, and his aura was no weaker than the first. Unexpectedly, it was another middle-rank blood demon. 2 middle-rank blood demons, this is rather problematic, Xiao Chen thought to himself. However, regardless of the situation, I have to give it a try. Medial-grade secret treasures are not that easy to find. A fierce purple flame burned eagerly in Xiao Chen's right eye. Then, it quickly compressed, becoming increasingly smaller. Soon, the boundless purple flames formed a rhombus-shaped purple light. With a thought, the purple light quickly elongated. Shoo! The purple light turned into a purple arrow and sped towards the second middle-rank blood demon. The purple arrow moved like a beam of light, tearing through the obstruction of space. Soon, its speed reached Mach 3. The blue-robed blood demon did not have time to react, and a bloody hole appeared on his shoulder. At the same moment Xiao Chen had fired the purple flame arrow, he activated the windwalk shoes and advanced with lightning speed. He managed to grab the black shoes as they fell to the ground. When the 2 blood demons saw Xiao Chen snag the secret treasure, they were not astonished. It looked like they had anticipated this. The blood demon that the purple thunder true fire had struck licked his lips. He wore a sinister expression as he smiled. Another fat lamb delivers himself to us. What thick killing chi, I like it. Regardless of the situation, you can't fight me over this one. The other blood demon stared Xiao Chen coldly and smiled. That will depend on your capabilities. If you can't finish him, I don't mind helping you. Gah! 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 The blue-robed blood demon laughed strangely. The wound on his shoulder healed quickly as his flesh wriggled. He laughed and said, I can't finish him. What a joke. I will deal with him in 10 moves. How strange. It seems like these 2 blood demons were waiting for me to fall into their trap. Maybe the demon allowed the purple thunder true fire arrow to strike him to lure me out. Xiao Chen revealed a pondering gaze. Then, he quickly placed the secret treasure in his universe ring. He decided to think about it later, after he left this place. Regardless of the situation, facing two middle-rank blood demons simultaneously was too dangerous. Realizing this, Xiao Chen pushed off the ground and turned to retreat. Human, don't leave. No one ever escapes after entering this stone forest. Gah! 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 The blood demon laughed as he chased after Xiao Chen. When Xiao Chen heard this, he was somewhat stunned. A few large stones ahead rose up and blocked his path. Break! Xiao Chen instantly drew his saber and used a sharp saber chi to hack the stones in half. However, before he could relax, the strange stones merged, repairing themselves. Bang! 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 Xiao Chen struck out relentlessly as the purple chi whirlpool in his body spun quickly. The lunar shadow saber flickered with electric light. He infused his saber with the state of thunder and hacked down. The stone that had just merged instantly shattered into dust. ZZ. A strange energy was transmitted, and the dust and rocks gathered again. Soon, they formed a new stone to block Xiao Chen's way. Xiao Chen prepared to try a few more times when, suddenly, a dangerous aura came from behind him. It was the blood arrow fired by that middle-rank blood demon. Gah! 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 Stop running, human. Stay here, I will not make you suffer any pain. Xiao Chen tilted his body slightly and dodged this attack. He leapt over the stone blocking his way and continued flying forward. Xiao Chen looked up and discovered something odd. The road, which he previously traveled, seemed to have changed. The direction through the messy stone forest had altered. Xiao Chen clearly went the way he came from. However, there was no way to distinguish direction anymore. It was astonishing. Since I cannot find my way out on the ground, I shall leave by the sky. Xiao Chen executed the Azure Dragon Cloud soaring art and rushed into the sky. Bang! After flying about 100 meters up, Xiao Chen's head crashed forcefully into a formless barrier. Xiao Chen could not help fall back to a stone pillar on the ground. Then, he looked up. The direction that he had just ascertained had shifted again. The entire stone forest seemed chaotic, it changed every second. There was no way to escape normally. The blue-robed blood demon quickly reached Xiao Chen and revealed a playful smile. He said hoarsely, "Give it up. The natural laws of this forest change every second. Without living here for at least 100 years, you cannot find your way out." Xiao Chen turned his back to the blue-robed blood demon. He continued to gaze ahead, pondering the problem. It looked like he did not hear what the blue-robed blood demon had said. "Brat, are you scared silly? Are you going to kill yourself, or should I do it?" Gah! 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 The blue-robed blood demon laughed as he watched the silent Xiao Chen. "Never mind. Since I can't leave for now, I won't overthink this. Bai Lixi did not cheat me. That is not something to think about now." Xiao Chen removed the blue strip of cloth from his forehead. Then, he turned slowly. The red mark on his forehead made his fair face look utterly charming. The blue-robed blood demon looked at Xiao Chen's appearance and was mildly stunned. He felt that something was wrong, but he could not make out what it was. "Since you want me to stay that badly, I shall do as you wish. I won't leave." The corner of Xiao Chen's lips curled up, revealing a sinister smile on his demonically charming face. "Trying to scare me? You are only an insignificant inferior-grade martial king. How reckless." The blue-robed blood demon shouted angrily as he wriggled his 10 fingers. He instantly fired countless dense blood arrows containing an intense, baleful aura. With a glance, it looked like countless evil spirits crawling out from hell and launching themselves at Xiao Chen. Even auditory hallucinations of ghostly cries reached the ear. Cultivators with weak willpower would fall under this hallucination. A brilliant light flashed from Xiao Chen's eyes, and the evil spirits of hell vanished. Thunderclouds filled the sky as Xiao Chen held the lunar shadow saber and stood on the huge rock. As the thunder roared, the saber light flickered restlessly. Dang! 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 The blood arrows were very solid. When Xiao Chen's saber light struck them, a clear, metallic sound rang throughout the forest. Sparks flew from the saber blade. Xiao Chen's saber light moved everywhere, leaving no gaps that could be exploited and knocking away all the blood arrows. When the blood arrows struck the huge rock, finger-sized holes appeared in it. After a while, when all the blood arrows entered the boulder, the stone exploded. This showed how powerful these blood arrows were. However, with Xiao Chen's saber light blocking them, the blood arrows could not advance. No matter how fast or how torrential they were. With the saber in my hand, when the thunder roars, I cannot be moved. The hallucinations and blood arrows did nothing to Xiao Chen. They had not even caused Xiao Chen the slightest bit of trouble. The blue-robed blood demon revealed some astonishment. The blood demon's hallucinations were no ordinary illusions. He had killed over several 100,000 demonic beasts and humans. The baleful aura that formed, as a result, could prevent regular superior-grade martial kings from struggling free in a short period. Even if they struggled free, their mind would be fuzzy for a while. However, nothing happened to Xiao Chen. His martial techniques were not disturbed at all. This brat is a little challenging to deal with. The blue-robed blood demon's gaze started to grow cautious. He glanced at his companion in the distance, thinking of calling him over to help. However, he resisted the urge. If the blood demon could not even deal with an inferior-grade martial king, the other fellow would snatch benefits from him in the future. The blue-robed blood demon's gaze became ferocious as he abandoned the thoughts of asking his companion for help. The blue-robed blood demon roared angrily and condensed a red ball of light in his hand. The ball of light had a multicolored surface. Occasionally, the screams of resentful spirits came from within. Fragmented blood wave. A faint radiance appeared around the scarlet ball of light as it flew at Xiao Chen. It spun in the air until it became a horrifying scarlet tornado, tearing even the air apart. Xiao Chen focused himself. He neither advanced nor retreated. He gathered essence onto his saber's blade and spun the lunar shadow saber in a counterclockwise direction on his palm. CC. The saber created a tornado that spun in the opposite direction from the fragmented blood wave. Purple electricity flickered in the tornado, crackling ceaselessly. Boom. The two tornadoes crashed into each other. The huge energy spread throughout the surroundings. The surrounding boulders shattered into dust, filling the air. The blue-robed blood demon retreated 10 meters before he stabilized himself. However, Xiao Chen did not move back at all. He shouted a war cry and held up his lunar shadow saber as he charged forward. Rushing thunder chop. Xiao Chen leapt into the air before descending, carrying the might of the surging thunder as he hacked down on the blue-robed blood demon. A cold light flashed on the saber's blade as electricity flickered, making one tremble in fear. The blue-robed blood demon held his arms in a cross guard and formed a scarlet barrier. Evidently, he intended to block Xiao Chen's attack. However, even though Xiao Chen's state of thunder was only in small perfection, because he cultivated the purple thunder divine incantation, a heaven-ranked cultivation technique, it was much stronger than a regular cultivator's great perfection state. How could the other party block it? The scarlet barrier only held for an instant before shattering. The surging force knocked back the blue-robed blood demon. Then, the blood demon crashed through countless massive stones. Clearly, he looked somewhat miserable. When the red-robed blood demon 1,000 meters away saw this, he mocked his companion. It seems like you have some indigestion. Do you need help? Never you mind. The blue-robed blood demon replied firmly. As he watched Xiao Chen flying towards him, he said angrily, I will make you experience pain worse than death. I will grant the experience of dying while a blood demon eats you alive. Chained fragmented blood wave. As the blue-robed blood demon spoke, 9 red balls of light appeared around him. The light balls spiraled around the blue-robed blood demon, and countless screams of restless spirits came from within. The screams of resentful spirits chained together, and the scene of hell appeared before Xiao Chen. Mountains of daggers and seas of flames torturing peasants and emperors alike filled his view. A ghastly scene that shocked the eyes appeared. The blood demon wanted to confuse Xiao Chen, startling his spirit and plunging his mind into chaos. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. Mental attacks, unless they originated from martial monarch, would not be a threat to him. The mental attacks of the blue-robed blood demon could do nothing. It was like a fleeting cloud in Xiao Chen's eyes. A few strands of spiritual sense turned into countless sharp blades and instantly shredded the illusion. Ha! 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 So what if you have substantial mental strength? After these 9 fragmented blood waves completely form, no one can save you. The blue-robed blood demon laughed as the 9 scarlet balls of light flew at Xiao Chen. The light balls spun rapidly. Soon, they formed 9 large scarlet tornadoes. After that, the 9 scarlet tornadoes merged and formed a colossal tornado. A red light filled Xiao Chen's vision. Aside from the strange red tornado before Xiao Chen, he could not see anything else. He felt as though it would be impossible to block this attack. Z. A scarlet band of light came from the tornado, extending in the air like a tentacle. Every boulder it passed shattered into dust. It even tore apart the air. Retreat. Xiao Chen retreated decisively. He pushed off the stone below him, and in the blink of an eye, he retreated several hundred meters. Ga. Where can you retreat? The longer it takes, the stronger my chained fragmented blood wave will become. You will only die more miserably. The blue-robed blood demon's maniacal laughter came from the red tornado that covered the sky. Xiao Chen maintained a calm expression. His heart was as calm as still water. He pushed off the ground twice and retreated another 1,000 meters with lightning speed. The purple thunder divine incantation circulated quickly, and Xiao Chen pointed his saber to the sky. Thunder roared, and he exhibited the state of thunder to its limits. A whirlpool of electricity spanning 100 meters appeared in the sky. Rumble. A galloping sound came from among the rumbling thunder in the sky. The sound of a mammoth army merged with the thunder. Even the sky seemed to tremble. Rushing thunder roars, breaking 1,000 soldiers. The lunar shadow saber directed the enormous energy in the sky. As Xiao Chen watched the surging scarlet tornado, he executed this move calmly. A golden electric knight appeared from the whirlpool. It held a spear and descended from the sky, moving 1,000 meters in an instant. The golden spear struck the center of the scarlet tornado. Break. The golden electric knight thrust its spear forward, creating a long golden light. Light exploded like a thunderous bolt of lightning. The scarlet tornado started to crack. After a moment, the golden electric knight shouted his war cry and the scarlet tornado that had covered the sky completely broke. The horse the electric knight rode neighed and carried the knight as they crashed into the blue-robed blood demon. Pu Si. The spear tore apart the blue-robed blood demon's defenses. Then, it gouged out a bull-sized, bloody hole in his chest. His already pale complexion paled further as he vomited large mouthfuls of blood. The blue-robed blood demon grabbed the electric spear with both hands, but he was jolted until he became paralyzed. His body could not help but twitch. Save me. Quick, save me. The blue-robed blood demon pleaded continuously as he gazed the distant red-robed blood demon. The corner of the red-robed blood demon's lips curled up slightly as he revealed a cold smile. By the time the electric knight scattered, the blue-robed blood demon had died. His eyes were opened wide and filled with an incredulous expression. Xiao Chen walked forward expressionlessly and used his saber to stab the blue-robed demon's body a few times before digging out his demon core. He pulled lightly and grasped the middle-ranked blood demon's demon core. Hu Kai. Just at this moment, a sharp scarlet light flew quickly at Xiao Chen. It moved as fast as Xiao Chen had drawn his saber, Mach 3. Xiao Chen's expression turned grave, and he dropped the demon core. He left deep footprints on the ground as he leapt across several hundred meters. Xiao Chen felt a cooling sensation on his chest. He looked down and saw 5 tears in the clear wind robes. Even the inner vest had torn. The attack had nearly reached his flesh. What strong explosive power, Xiao Chen thought to himself as he looked at the red-robed blood demon before him. The red-robed blood demon grabbed his companion's demon core and revealed a wide grin. He glowered Xiao Chen as he said, "I really have to thank you. I have been waiting for this for several decades. You have helped me greatly. I will repay you by eating your heart after I've finished." Ga. Ga. The red-robed blood demon placed the demon core in his mouth and chewed with gusto. He revealed pleasure on his face, looking extremely cruel. Ga. 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 Do you feel my strength increasing? When I eat your heart, I will break through and become a high-rank blood demon. As the red-robed blood demon laughed strangely, he did not show any signs of guilt over eating his companion. He clearly had no qualms about it. Xiao Chen sensed the other party's aura continuously growing stronger. In the end, it rose by 20%, making him as strong as a peak superior grade martial king. The red-robed blood demon gazed the silent Xiao Chen as he slowly walked forward. He smiled faintly as he asked, "Why are you not saying anything? You must have exhausted a lot of essence earlier. I guess that you now have less than 30% of your essence. Should I give you some time to rest?" Pa. Even though the red-robed blood demon said he would give Xiao Chen some time, he sent out a palm strike immediately after he spoke. The intense baleful aura created a strong wind. The cry of mournful spirits howled in the wind. The red light turned the formless wind scarlet. The red mark on Xiao Chen's forehead started flickering with a bright crimson light. He activated the state of massacre. The snow-white lunar shadow saber alternated between purple and red light. Xiao Chen did not move from the spot. He did his best to maintain his calm. His saber light moved continuously as he hacked apart his opponent's palm wind. The other party's explosive power was astonishing. His movement speed could achieve Mach 3 in an instant. As for Xiao Chen, his movement speed had only reached Mach 2. The only thing Xiao Chen could compete with was attacking speed. With the aid of the black gloves, Xiao Chen achieved Mach 3 with the drawing the saber. Hence, Xiao Chen could not move. The moment he moved, he would suffer a disadvantage. His opponent moved 1 Mach faster than he did. Xiao Chen's attacks were unable to knock down his opponent successfully. As for the red-robed blood demon, he could advance or retreat as he pleased. When he met danger, he could quickly escape, making him undefeatable. Dang! 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 Strong winds blew next to Xiao Chen's ears. The cries of resentful spirits resounded lingering and reverberating in his mind relentlessly. Occasionally, he heard the strange laugh of the red-robed blood demon. Xiao Chen maintained his state of mind. He became as steady as a boulder. His feet were anchors to the top of that huge rock. No matter how elusive Xiao Chen's opponent was, or how many sharp palm winds he sent out, Xiao Chen would not move. The lunar shadow saber danced in all directions. With every strike Xiao Chen sent, he used drawing the saber. Aside from exhausting a lot of essence, his spirit was also exhausted. This is tiring, extremely tiring. However, I have to persevere and look for a chance to counterattack. Otherwise, all that awaits me is death. There is no other way, I cannot retreat. Interesting, he knows that he cannot match me in movement speed. So, He dares not move. He is afraid that I will catch hold of the rhythm. He uses his strong drawing technique to block my attacks. However, how long do you think you can hold on? 20 minutes? 10 minutes? Or perhaps 5 minutes? The red-robed blood demon retreated a few steps with lightning speed. A playful smile appeared on his pale face. After attacking for so long to no avail, the red-robed blood demon started to engage in psychological warfare to damp Xiao Chen's spirits. Shoo! Xiao Chen pointed his saber at the red-robed blood demon. He revealed a faint smile on his fair face and said, "You can try. Let's see if I fall. Or will I grasp your attack rhythm first? Gah! Gah! Let's give it a try then." The red-robed blood demon laughed strangely and launched another red light at Xiao Chen. Boom! 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 The horrifying red light carried a boundless baleful aura. The red-robed blood demon continuously sent out all sorts of killing moves from many different directions at Xiao Chen. When the intense energy of the two clashed, the air became like water, ripples appearing. The strong energy seemed to almost tear space apart. The red-robed blood demon originally had the strength of a superior grade martial king. After he absorbed the blue-robed blood demon's demon core, his strength rose explosively. Xiao Chen merged his two states to the limit. He did not dare be careless as he broke all his opponent's killing moves, one by one. Shoo! After 1 hour, when the red-robed blood demon saw that he could not take Xiao Chen down, an impatient expression appeared on his pale face as he retreated again. Xiao Chen's expression remained calm as he said indifferently, "Is that all you have? If so, you might end up here forever." The red-robed blood demon snorted coldly and said, "Even on your deathbed, your tongue is so sharp. Later, you will beg for mercy." Disdain flashed in the red-robed blood demon's eyes. He interlocked his fingers and started to make hand seals. Rings of red light extended out from his palms. Horrifying energy gathered on his hand seals. The red light became increasingly dazzling. It throbbed like blood in the arteries, appearing incredibly sinister. Great Blood Demon Seal. The red-robed blood demon roared ferociously. When the brightness of the red light reached its limits, he stopped making hand seals. He pressed the overwhelming energy towards Xiao Chen. It felt like a huge mountain carrying vast force descending from the sky. Its aura was overwhelming, making one tremble, unable to breathe. However, Xiao Chen's expression did not change. Instead, he felt happy. He was not afraid of clashing head-on with his opponent. He was only afraid of his opponent attacking relentlessly from a distance, fleeing when the situation turned from his favor. If that repeated over and over again, Xiao Chen would have no way to leave the stone forest quickly. His spirit would eventually be exhausted. Actually, Xiao Chen had been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. As long as he could pull his opponent into clashing head-on, giving up the advantage of speed, he felt fully confident of dealing with his opponent in 3 moves. Xiao Chen held his saber vertically with the blade in front of his face. Then, his left hand slowly slid up the saber, moving along the edge. When Xiao Chen's fingers moved past the tip, a wukui flower bud, which alternated between purple and red light, appeared on the huge stone below him. Just before the great blood demon seal struck him, the wukui flower bud completely enveloped him. Bang! A loud sound resounded. The huge stone below Xiao Chen instantly shattered into tiny fragments. The wukui flower bud alternating with purple and red lights landed on the ground. Behind the wukui flower bud, the huge stone started to reform and landed firmly on the ground. Within the flower bud, Xiao Chen could not help but vomit a mouthful of blood. His organs had been intensely shaken. The energy threads from the inner vest broke, one after another. The might of the great blood demon seal far exceeded Xiao Chen's expectations. Even after the double-layered protection of the flower bud and the inner vest, it still caused such severe damage to Xiao Chen's internal organs. Without these two layers of protection, his organs might have shattered immediately. The red-robed blood demon floated quietly in the sky. When he saw the undamaged flower bud, his sinister face revealed astonishment. The blood-robed blood demon had the clearest understanding of the great blood demon seal's might. Even though he only practiced it to the first layer, after he swallowed the strength of the blue-robed blood demon, the might of this strike would even cause significant internal injuries to a high-rank blood demon. I don't believe that you can really block this move. What is this nonsense? Break for me. The red-robed blood demon shouted angrily and formed claws with his fingers as he grabbed at the flower bud. Bang! Just before the red-robed blood demon touched the flower bud, it blossomed. A horrifying shockwave spread out, catching him with its force. The red-robed blood demon flew back with a pained expression over 100 meters before he stabilized himself. A strong wind blew, and petals filled the stone forest. Xiao Chen leapt out and passed through the dancing petals, heading for the red-robed blood demon. The flower petals, alternatively flickering with purple and red light, gave off an invisible spiritual light. The spiritual light entered Xiao Chen's body, and his speed quickly increased to Mach 3. At this moment, Xiao Chen did not face any obstruction. His saber light danced as he swung the saber, sending limitless saber techniques at the red-robed blood demon. The unending chain of attacks had a might akin to rushing lightning as they surged over. They suppressed the red-robed blood demon into a retreat. The more the red-robed blood demon blocked Xiao Chen's attacks, the more astonished he became. The speed he was proud was not enough for him to escape Xiao Chen's attacks. The red-robed blood demon wanted to gather his energy to retreat, but he discovered that his earlier move had exhausted too much of his strength. He was now drained and had no way to flee from Xiao Chen. Despicable human. You think you can trap me like this? Blood Shadow Clone. The red-robed blood demon cursed, and his body flickered with red light. He split into three in an instant but did not attack. Instead, they fled in different directions. He would make further plans after escaping. The red-robed blood demon firmly believed that, once he left the area, he could completely digest the strength of the blue-robed blood demon. Xiao Chen, who could not flee from the stone forest, would become his meal sooner or later. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. He said, "Cloning technique, I seem to know one too." Roaming Dragon's 9 transformations. Xiao Chen's figure trembled, and 9 figures instantly appeared. The 9 figures trembled again, creating a total of 81 figures floating in the air. Again. Xiao Chen clenched his teeth and took the risk of exhausting his essence. The 81 figure trembled in the air once more. They divided into 9 again. Instantly, 729 figures appeared in the air, packed densely together. Xiao Chen's figures filled the sky. After waiting for this fellow to exhaust his energy, if I let him leave now, I will lose all opportunities to capture him. Furthermore, after this experience, the other party will definitely not clash head-on with me again. Regardless of the situation, I cannot allow him to escape. There is only one chance. I cannot miss it. The red-robed blood demon watched as his surroundings filled with Xiao Chen's. Finally, a look of horror appeared on his face for the first time. Hundreds of Xiao Chens surrounded each one of his clones. At this moment, he felt minuscule. Under the influence of the Wukui flower petals, the speed of each of Xiao Chen's clones was no slower than the red-robed blood demon's. There was no chance for him to flee. The red-robed blood demon's path to escape was sealed. Merge. The red-robed blood demon shouted, and the 2 other clones turned into balls of red light and returned to the main body. A ruthless expression appeared in his eyes. The red-robed blood demon's entire body exploded with red light. His eyes gave off a dazzling scarlet light. His baleful aura acted like a fog moving around his body. The red-robed blood demon sent out countless killing moves without consideration for the cost. Scarlet lights flashed, and strong winds blew as the attacks flew at their target. Several of Xiao Chen's clones shattered. This red-robed blood demon went utterly berserk. Trying to leave. Too late. Wukui transforms to Qi. The lunar shadow saber hummed gently, and the several hundred Xiao Chen swung their sabers at the same time, executing the Wukui transforms to Qi of the Wukui saber technique. Instantly several hundred ancient divine Wukui trees appeared in the air. The Wukui trees then scattered and turned into boundless saber Qi. Dang! 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 In this small space, the interchanging purple and red saber Qi poured down like torrential rain. Xiao Chen locked the blood demon in place. He could not escape. This reasoning was simple. In a storm, even if you held an umbrella, you would still get wet. Furthermore, the thousands of saber Qi in the air were even more torrential than a storm by several hundred times. Even with the red-robed blood demon's speed, he could not dodge them all. Shoo! Shoo! In the blink of an eye, the saber Qi shredded the blood demon's red robes. Blood trickled from countless wounds across his entire body. It looked too horrible to endure. Merge! Xiao Chen shouted, and his several hundred clones transformed into countless flowing lights, gathering back at the original Xiao Chen. When the flowing light had fully returned, Xiao Chen leapt up as pierced his saber forward. He easily cut open the defensive shield the red-robed blood demon laid down. Now that the red-robed blood demon was severely injured, how could he defend against the saber technique merged with the state of massacre and state of thunder? Pu Si. The saber tip pierced deeply into the red-robed blood demon's chest, slicing open a wound about the size of a fist. The red-robed blood demon felt so much pain that he wished he was dead. Blood poured from his eyes, and he said in a maniacal state, "Even if I die, I will take you with me, you despicable human being." All the energy in the red-robed blood demon gathered non-stop. His skin started swelling relentlessly. At the time of his death, the other party unexpectedly thought of detonating himself. Xiao Chen's saber thrust forward again as he said calmly, "Do you think you still have the chance?" Wukui blossoms. Then, Xiao Chen pulled his saber out, and a fountain of blood spurted from the red-robed blood demon's wound. The flower petals that filled the sky formed a huge whirlpool and poured into the red-robed blood demon's wound. Bang! A huge energy surged, and the red-robed blood demon's body crashed through several huge stones before coming to a stop. The red-robed blood demon's swelling body instantly shriveled. A tree trunk grew out of his wound, and multiple branches extended, reaching for the sky. Not long later, a humongous Wukui tree with dense branches and leaves grew at a visible pace. Purple and red flowers blossomed on the branches. This time, Xiao Chen did not hold back at all. He allowed the Wukui tree to grow wildly. When the Wukui flowers bloomed, the Wukui tree absorbed all the energy in the red-robed blood demon as nutrients. His flesh mummified. Explode. Xiao Chen formed a seal with his left hand and directed the mysterious energy in the air. He shouted, and the Wukui tree instantly exploded. This red-robed blood demon died. No matter how strong the red-robed blood demon's life force was, it would be useless. The instant the red-robed blood demon exploded, all the red light formed by the baleful aura flew quickly towards Xiao Chen's forehead. Within the sea of consciousness, the scarlet throne greedily absorbed the aura. The throne trembled excitedly, the entire sea of consciousness churning with it. The baleful aura of the red-robed blood demon far surpassed Xiao Chen's expectation. His body grew uncontrollably excited. A red glow appeared in his eyes. It looked extremely sinister. This feeling could not compare to when Xiao Chen had killed those low-rank blood demons in the past. He only needed a thought, and his spiritual sense could easily put down that sense of depravity. Even for that blue-robed blood demon, who was a middle-rank blood demon as well, Xiao Chen only had to spend a few breaths of time to curb that desire to massacre. However, this time, it was intense. All the blood in Xiao Chen's body, every single cell, surged. The strength of massacre filled his mind. Xiao Chen tried several times to stop this excitement that would cause him to sink into depravity. However, he gave up at the last moment. That surging feeling in the body caused one to sink deeper without the desire to escape. Even though Xiao Chen knew it was not good and would drive him berserk, he could not do it. He was afraid of losing the feeling after stopping it. Right before Xiao Chen completely lost himself, he resolutely bit down on the tip of his tongue. His teeth immediately bit off a small chunk of flesh. An intense pain caused Xiao Chen to regain some clarity. The pain from his tongue lingered for a long time. A resolute look appeared in Xiao Chen's eyes. As the pain faded, his spiritual sense turned into a knife and cut off this pleasurable feeling coming from his sea of consciousness. Shoo. 5 minutes passed before this pleasurable feeling left him completely. Xiao Chen slumped down with cold sweat trickling down his back. He seemed completely drained. Xiao Chen felt mentally fatigued. This action had unexpectedly drained him of half his mental energy. The red-robed blood demon was originally very strong. He had been a peak middle-rank blood demon. After he swallowed his companion, he could have actually been considered a high-rank blood demon. Not only had the red-robed blood demon had several times more baleful aura, but it had also been stronger in quality. A low-rank blood demon could not compare to it. Furthermore, the baleful aura of this kind of demon was stronger than humans of similar strength. These kinds of demons were characterized by cruelty, bloodiness, massacre, and many other negative emotions at a level far more intense than humans. Xiao Chen leaned against a huge stone. His eyes regained their previous clarity. He said softly, "It looks like I have to be more careful when I absorb the baleful aura of demons in the future. They are of a completely different level from cultivators." This danger Xiao Chen had just experienced was mostly due to the fact that he had not been mentally prepared for it. If Xiao Chen had made the necessary preparations, even if he could not digest the baleful aura in a short time, he would not have been in danger of sinking into depravity. After resting for a while, Xiao Chen recovered most of his spirit. He got up and said, "After absorbing so much baleful aura, the state of massacre should have become a little stronger." Xiao Chen gently flicked out a finger, and a pure saber chi infused with the state of massacre shot out.